An American doctor is drowning in grief after his patient dies because they did not receive heart surgery in time. A colleague comes to see him and warns that a group of terrorists is hunting Americans. They have infiltrated the area and learned about his presence. Hearing this, Andrew immediately goes home and tells his wife, a devoted teacher who always teaches African children. Andrew says they must leave immediately because if they stay, the terrorists will kill them. But his wife still hopes they might be able to talk, persuade people, and improve the situation. Andrew replies that his medical equipment has been stolen, a patient has already died, and things in Africa will not get better under these circumstances. Leaving is the only choice. The two head to the small airport of the village, almost deserted in the middle of the desert. There is only one plane that can take them away. The plane is in terrible condition, and the greedy pilot named Grun wants to carry as many passengers and as much luggage as possible to earn more money. All the passengers are Americans who are also desperate to leave. Among them is a man named Milo with two of his friends. There is also a kind black man who seems to be the spiritual leader of the group. Before leaving, Andrew's wife calls her African friend named Alani, who sadly apologizes because they have to leave due to the terrorists in his country. Andrew realizes that Grun is the same pilot who had previously been assigned to deliver medical supplies but never carried out the mission. He blames Grun, saying that his greed caused many patients to die and allowed the supplies to be stolen. Andrew tries to lecture him, saying that harming humanity for money is wrong. Because of weight limits, Grun initially refuses to allow much luggage since they only paid for tickets, not for baggage. After repeated pleading, he agrees but demands that they keep their luggage on their laps. Everyone boards the plane despite the terrible conditions. However, they have no choice because otherwise they would have to wait another week for the next flight, while on one side there are terrorists and on the other side wild predators. When the plane takes off, everyone breathes a sigh of relief. At first everything seems fine, but then the plane begins to shake. The passengers ask Grun, but he reassures them that there is no problem because he has plenty of experience. Andrew angrily stands up and says the shaking is caused by too much luggage overloading the plane. Grun dismisses it and tells him to sit down and fasten his seatbelt. Only a few minutes later the plane shakes violently, catches fire, and rapidly dives toward the ground. Within seconds it crashes and shatters. Some passengers die instantly, while the survivors are seriously injured. Andrew gathers his courage and looks around. Milo survives along with another young man, but one of Milo's friends is dead. Andrew's wife is trapped under a pile of luggage, her leg broken and her injuries severe. Andrew tries to pull her out but cannot because she is stuck too tightly. Grun says she will never escape and tells Andrew he should give up. Andrew angrily tells Grun to shut up and stay away. He refuses to abandon his wife. Meanwhile, Milo buries the body of his friend near the burning wreckage of the plane. Milo buries his friend's body close to the wreckage so wild animals will not eat it. After that, the survivors begin observing the area around the destroyed plane. They soon realize that they are trapped in an extremely dangerous region inhabited by man-eating predators. They reason that during the day, they might be relatively safe because the desert heat makes hunting difficult for the animals. But once night falls, their chances of survival will drop drastically, so they must act immediately. Dr. Andrew and several others discuss a plan to walk to the nearest village, about 20 kilometers away. Grun says they must head southeast because the village lies in that direction. But Milo disagrees, insisting they should go southwest instead. Since Milo is holding the only gun, he forces his decision on the group and declares that anyone who wants to survive must follow him. Milo asks Andrew to come with them, but Andrew refuses because he cannot abandon his severely injured wife. The others urge him to go so he can find help, but his wife says they believe in fate and trust that God will help them. Andrew loves his wife deeply, so he decides to stay and take care of her. He tells them that if the village is within walking distance, they should bring people back to rescue them. Milo's group begins their difficult journey across the desert, while Andrew and his wife remain inside the wrecked plane waiting. His wife is almost hopeless, as if waiting either for rescue or for death. In the distance, they can already see wild animals wandering even though it is still daylight. Meanwhile, Milo and his group walk through the desert. The heat and thirst exhaust them. They collapse because they no longer have the strength to continue. Grun shares some water with them, and they climb a nearby hill hoping to spot the village. But all they see ahead is endless desert and wilderness. Worse still, they can no longer clearly remember the way back. In anger, Milo snatches the gun from Grun and blames him for overloading the plane, which caused the crash. He declares that from now on everyone must follow the direction he chooses. However, The others want to return the way they came to reach the plane again and then find another route to the village. In the end, they decide to go back, while Milo continues alone in his own direction. After hours of dragging themselves forward in exhaustion, they finally return to the crash site. But the sight before them leaves them frozen in shock. Blood is scattered everywhere, and Andrew and his wife are gone. Lion footprints can be seen on the plane's body. They conclude that a lion attacked and devoured both of them. They feel grief but also panic, because that means lions are hunting even during the daytime. In the chaos, a terrified Andrew suddenly rushes out and grabs Grun. He believes all the tragedy began with Grun's greed. Andrew tries to kill him, but a young man in the group fires a shot that knocks Andrew down and saves Grun. At that moment, they discover rare and extremely valuable animal horns inside Grun's luggage. This confirms that Grun has been smuggling and that greed partly caused the disaster. In reality, Andrew is not dead. He has gathered the remaining pieces of his wife's body and buried her, then sits beside the grave crying uncontrollably. He blames himself for not saving her, thinking he should have tried harder. One of the group members comforts him, saying that fighting a lion is impossible and that it is not his fault. Slowly, Andrew begins to accept the truth. As night falls, the danger multiplies. They hear the growls of lions echoing in the darkness. With little time left, they realize there is only one relatively safe place to hide through the night: the cockpit of the destroyed plane. They decide to draw lots to determine which 3 people will stay inside the cockpit for the night. One of Milo's friends loses and has to remain outside the plane. When night falls, he lights a fire outside while the other 3 climb into the cockpit. They warn him never to fall asleep and to keep the fire burning at all times, because only fire can keep the wild animals away. If he falls asleep and the fire goes out, he could lose his life. Everyone simply hopes morning will come quickly so they can continue their journey toward the village they believe they have located. In the middle of the night, Grun goes outside to check and finds that the boy has fallen asleep and the fire is almost out. He shakes him awake and tells him to keep the fire burning if he wants to survive. Then Grun returns to the cockpit, but the boy is too exhausted and soon falls asleep again. The fire dies completely. In the thick darkness, glowing eyes begin to appear. The lions have arrived. They roar fiercely outside the wreckage. Inside the cockpit, Dr. Andrew feels tormented. He wants to go outside and save the boy, but there are too many lions. Even so, Andrew opens the door. A lion immediately lunges inside. The 3 men struggle together to push it back, but the animal is so strong that it nearly breaks the door. During the chaos, a snake bites one of the men in the group. Andrew quickly ties a band above the wound, cuts the bite, and sucks the poisoned blood out, saving the man's life even though he becomes extremely weak afterward. The next morning, when they step out of the cockpit, they discover that the boy has disappeared, clearly having become prey for the lions. They decide to head toward the village because it is less dangerous during the day. But Andrew is completely broken. He sits against a tree and says he will not go any farther. He has lost all courage, lost his wife, and lost all hope. He says he wants to stay and wait for death because he cannot bear to see humans turned into prey for wild beasts again. The others continue on their way. Not long after, they see a vehicle approaching from a distance. They are overjoyed, thinking they have been rescued. Andrew also stands up, hoping to escape. They wave at the vehicle to stop. But when it stops, they discover a group of terrorists inside who are hunting Americans. The terrorists drag Andrew out and beat him, accusing him of coming here to steal resources and take them back to America. Grun tries to explain that Andrew is a doctor who only came to help, and that they are actually leaving. However, the terrorists discover the rare animal horns in the plane and become even more furious, believing Andrew is a smuggler. They continue beating him. Grun steps forward and takes full responsibility, saying the goods belong to him and that he is the smuggler. One man in the group tries to persuade them not to kill innocent people, but the terrorists reveal their brutal nature by opening fire and killing without mercy. Afterward, they decide to take Andrew with them. One terrorist stays behind and proposes a game. He will count to 10. Andrew must run, and then he will shoot. He begins counting, but Andrew does not run. He has long lost the will to survive. Inside him there is only emptiness and acceptance of fate. The terrorist becomes irritated and starts mocking them, taking out water and showing it off in front of them while laughing. When he realizes both men have completely lost their will, he sits down leaning against the vehicle a short distance away. After a while, they slowly regain their senses. Grun tells Andrew, "I am a fighter. I cannot die so easily." Speaking very quietly, he moves closer to the terrorist and begins trying to grab the gun. but the terrorist wakes up and pulls the trigger, only to realize the gun has no bullets left. The other terrorist also wakes up, but before he can fire, Andrew manages to restrain him. During the struggle, the gun goes off repeatedly and the bullets kill both terrorists. Grun says to Andrew, "Look, we killed both of them. Now you must come with me. You must fulfill your wife's dream, and I must correct my mistakes. Give me a chance to atone for my sins. Come with me, I will help you and take you to the city where you can save thousands of patients." Andrew agrees to go with him, although he is in terrible condition. They continue forward and are now close to the village. Ahead of them is a small rocky hill they must cross to reach the other side. Grun helps Andrew climb up with great difficulty. But then they see a blood-covered lion approaching from the front. They are on top of the hill, and the lions begin to smell the scent of blood and move toward them. However, because they are higher up and partially hidden, the lion cannot see them and starts to turn away. But at that moment, birds begin circling above the two men. The wind shifts, and the lions catch their scent again and start turning back. A scorpion crawls onto Andrew's body and climbs up onto his face, but Andrew remains completely silent. When the scorpion moves, a small rock falls, confirming to the lion that there is definitely something above to eat. It begins climbing up the hill aggressively. Grun sees this. Andrew's blood has stained his body, and the lion begins licking that blood. Grun says, "I have done many bad things in my life, and today I want to wash those sins away. I will bring the blood before the lions and sacrifice myself to save you. Let them eat me so you will have a chance to escape. Promise me that you will stand up and make it to the village." After saying that, he shouts and runs down the hill. The lion immediately charges toward him and begins the hunt. After that, Andrew begins walking toward the village. He travels a long distance before finally collapsing. He is extremely thirsty. Then he sees animals approaching from ahead, as if they are about to devour him. Andrew looks up at the sky and asks, "Is this my fate, to die in the jaws of these useless animals?" After saying that, Andrew stands up again with the last bit of courage he has left. The animals begin running toward him. But suddenly thunder roars, frightening them and causing them to run away. The rain begins to fall. Andrew lies on the ground and drinks the rainwater to quench the thirst that has tormented him for so long. Soon after, he loses consciousness. When Andrew opens his eyes, he sees his old friend standing in front of him, the same person who once called him a terrorist. People say that he was the one who lifted Andrew and helped him leave that place, saving his life. Andrew is finally safe. Perhaps fate had already decided that he would survive, because at the final moment he found his courage again. And eventually he will reach the village. The story ends here.